So we're starting the comparison round here,
Cedric
Bob.
and William, switch, please.
All right, now this is where you separate the men from the boys.
And Bob, this is a surprise in this top four here, this first call out. We thought that that Cedric was not in the top, really the top five. We were saying earlier.
Yeah, well, depending on how head judge Steve Weinberger does these call-outs, he will give guys an opportunity to move up or down. So yeah, we are seeing Cedric has been kind of added into that top four, or projected top four call-out.
And that would explain the comparison we saw at prejudging between Cedric and Luke.
Exactly right, Nick, because it was kind of an odd call-out, I thought. As head judge Steve Weinberger called out a comparison between Luke Sandow and Cedric. And I thought it was a little bit oddly placed, but now you see Cedric, they clearly feel, is getting a little bit better, and Luke seems to be holding his own here. If I was a betting man, I would say this is what your top four. Now, what they might do, Aaron, is leave a couple of guys and pull a couple of guys.
Right.
Hypothetically, if they pull back William and Brandon, then you're looking at one or two either way. And what they do sometimes is they'll leave Cedric out there, Luke, and then they'll bring somebody up, like a Josh Lenardowitz or somebody, or a Ruli Winkler. I'd be shocked if they didn't add those two guys into the mix as soon as they get done with this round.
Back double bicep.
Now here's that matchup we were talking about. Look at that back double by between Brandon Curry and William Bonac.
If you're looking at the condition of these four gentlemen, certainly Cedric stands out in terms of condition or lack thereof, right?
I'll tell you this, Luke actually looks like he's getting better.
Yeah.
He looks a little sharper to me tonight than he actually did this morning. And as he poses, he seems to be getting a little bit sharper. I don't know if that's enough to move him up, but it might move him, keep him in third place. As I don't know if Cedric has enough to catch Luke at this point. You can see that the conditioning is just slightly different between Brandon. Brandon Curry kind of has that hard, almost, I don't want to say grainy, but that thin skin conditioning. Yeah. Bonac is obviously in great condition also, but you can see there is a difference between these two guys. What a tremendous improvement from Brandon Curry from 3-4 years ago.
One thing about Brandon's presentation too is that he's always so picture perfect. I mean, if you look at his oil and his color, I mean, he really looks, I mean, certainly the best in terms of presentation.
Very polished.
Well, Brandon's killing William in that front ab shot right there. So as much as William was beating him from the back on that back double by. And this shot's a toss-up, man. I tell you, hard to beat William Bonac when he's got that much muscle on that frame.
I can tell you the happiest guy to be up there is certainly Luke. Oh, they're bringing them all back.
So,
Rolly, Joshua.
All right, so he's dismissing all four.
And so, Bob, nothing is written in stone, right? But that's a pretty good sign that that's our top four, right? Unless they're bringing him back in a little bit.
And you know what? You never know with Big Steve, man. He likes to mix and match. And the one thing I like, amongst many about Big Steve, is he gives these guys an opportunity to compete.
Steve and Raphael,
listen, I would rather see too many comparisons rather than a lack of them, because bodybuilding is all about comparisons. So give these guys an opportunity, put them next to each other. The only thing I like to see sometimes, I like what I call crossover comparisons. I would have liked to have seen either Luke or Cedric stay out there and have one of these guys have an opportunity to see if he's actually better than the guy who's projected to be for him.
I'll tell you what, this morning, Big Steve had him really work quite a bit. I mean, he was. Yeah, I mean, it was one after another. So,
and listen, let's not make any mistake. The prejudging does count more, so to say, into the judging. Okay, this is what they call a confirmation round of scoring. Okay, it's one last chance for the judges to get a look at the competitors and make any changes that they see fit. So it does count into the scoring, but the prejudging is where you're making your bones out there.
Front lat spread.
Steve Kuklo looking pretty good in this lineup here.
Another good eye, Nick. Look at the young guy here. I tell you what, man, you were on the ball, my friend. Steve Kuklo looks like he's getting a little bit sharper as he goes.
Sharper than Rolly for sure.
Look at Rafael Brandon. He looks like Steve's little brother. Look at,
Yeah.
Back double bicep.
look at that. Look to your right, Rafael. That's what you're going to be looking like in another couple of years, buddy.
You can see Josh, Josh really missed it.
Josh is fading. Yeah, he's fading out a little bit, spilling over.
Yep.
He's still going to have a respectable finish here, but he's going to be a lot sharper in Australia. I can guarantee it. Really doesn't look much different to me, Nick, than he did this morning. He looks about the same. And Rafael and Steve actually look a little bit sharper to me.
Yeah, Steve definitely looks sharper to me. Look at the vascularity in Steve's lower body.
I know Steve this morning wasn't in the
Side
second call.
tricep.
Wasn't in the mix as much as he is tonight. So they're definitely taking a better look at Steve tonight.
Get those arms on, really. There's
Crazy.
only one other guy with arms like that in the pro league, and that's Phil Heath.
Yeah.
So you talk about having some arms,
Abdominals
boy.
and thighs.
Those arms are crazy.
And even in not 100%, he has cross striations all over his triceps.
Oh, yeah.
The kind of striations you generally don't see on basically anybody else.
You talk about making improvements. Really has done a complete 180 on his midsection over the last, 2 years ago, Nick. It wasn't that
Your
long ago
favorite
that he was
most
getting a lot of flack
From Arnold.
for being round in the middle. You know what I mean? And he's got the gut hanging and this and that. So for those people that attribute that to other factors, you can make improvements and bring that in. You know what most of that comes from, Nick?
What's that?
Food volume.
Really?
Yeah, they point to everything you can probably think of under this
Thank
sun.
you, gentlemen.
It's
Back
food
in line,
volume.
please.
These guys eat tremendous amounts of food, and that can keep your stomach out there, even when you're in contest
Akeem
shape. So a
Charles
lot of the
Victor
guys,
McKell.
obviously practice helps in controlling your abs, but spreading the meals out, actually making them smaller and having more throughout the day rather than big meals.
I've actually seen photos of Rolly wearing a waist trainer to keep the size of his waist down.
A lot of the guys are doing that now,
Charles, switch,
which is
please.
interesting.
You know what?
New
It doesn't
trend.
hurt.
Doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt. Yeah, I mean, listen, if it does 5%, great.
Gentlemen, quarter turn right.
The one big thing that the guys need to keep conscious, and obviously we saw, at the last Olympia, how they're really marking down the midsections now.
Quarter turn.
Is in the transitions, because it's easy to remember to keep your midsection tight while you're hitting a pose, but in between poses,
Quarter turn.
if it slips your mind for a minute, that's a big problem.
Oh, trust me, I've been on that pro stage with those comparisons getting called out.
Oh,
you
yeah.
start sucking wind
Face front.
after about the third or fourth round of mandatories out there, and you better be in shape, and you better be, that's if you're going to let it go, that's
Front
where it's
double
going to go.
bicep.
Especially in those back poses when you think no one's looking, you let it hang out.
Aaron's exactly right. It's in the transitions that you really got to pay
Front
attention.
lat
But
spread.
look at the physique on Akeem Williams. Now, out of these four guys, there are obviously four guys in four different times of their career. But Akeem Williams has all the attributes, man. He's got the muscle.
Side
He's
chest.
got the shape. He's just got to find a way to get that skin thin. And I tell you what, this guy be winning some titles and beating some people.
He's got something like that hanging muscle, that you rarely see, especially for the lats from the front, kind of Ronnie Coleman-esque.
Back double bicep.
Tell you what, it's a game of inches, man. I mean, he's not. Look at that shot right there. Look at that shot of Akeem Williams. That's up there with anybody.
Yeah.
He just has to bring it down. But you can also
Back
see
lat
those little
spread.
folds in the skin, Nick. About
Yeah.
halfway up that back. That's your difference.
That's that film I was talking about.
I don't think we've ever seen Akeem without the film. So
No.
I've never seen him. Like I said originally, this is about as good as
Side
He
tricep.
was
Akeem
up
we've
pretty
seen.
good in, was it Tampa last year? I think it was, where he really brought it out there. And that's the closest I've seen him come to 100% conditioning. But he's got to find a formula that works. The one thing you need in the pro league is
Abdominals
consistency.
and thighs.
And that's where a Bonac really comes out head and shoulders above the rest, where you've never seen Bonac out of shape.
No.
Your favorite, most muscular. Thank you, gentlemen. Back in line, please. Luke, Rolly, Cedric, and Steve.
All right, now here's where the call-outs start to get interesting, is when they come back around. All right, so he went through the lineup once, and if you're going to see any changes, this is where they're going to be, right here.
So they're trying to round out the top 6 here.
Well, you'll notice that the only two guys that ain't up there is
Top two.
out of the top 6 is Bonac and, of course, Brandon Curry. So this is for 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Front lat spread.
Now, he may move some guys around. If these guys stay like this, what you're looking at is probably Cedric 3rd, Luke 4th, Kuklo
Side
5th,
chest.
and really 6th. I'll tell you what, if Steve Kuklo's got a chance to move himself up, this is it right here.
Yep.
He's right next to Cedric. He can make his mark
Back
right
double
here. He
bicep.
looks like he's getting a little bit sharper as he goes.
And Rolly seems to be doing the opposite.
Yes, Rulli is definitely spilling over. And again, hats off to Luke Sandow, man. I got to tell you, his conditioning, again, started off good, and it's only gotten better as he's gone on. So good for him.
He's looking very crisp here in his back double bicep. Certainly the best condition of anybody up there in this call out.
Back
That
lat
shape on
spread.
Cedric McMillan. I tell you, talk about God-given talent. You know, you talk about, and that's not to take away from his work ethic, but man, you talk about genetics. Look at that physique on Cedric.
Yeah, well, it speaks to the genetics and his capabilities if he does place 3rd here in this lineup.
Side tricep. Abdominals and thighs.
Aaron, Luke's one of your athletes. How pleased is he right now to be in this position?
He's the happiest guy on the stage. There's no doubt about that. You know, he will be thrilled with 4th, thrilled with 5th, and ecstatic with 3rd. So no matter how he ends up here, he's going to be happy.
Your favorite, most muscular.
When I went and saw him backstage, Bob, the big thing he said was he had so much fun.
That's what he said to me, too.
Well, any of us that know Luke, he's a ball buster, man. I mean, he loves to
Thank
just
you,
joke
gentlemen.
around and
Back in
have
line.
fun. I mean, he's never too serious, you know. But I think that's good. I think it keeps him loose. You know, he doesn't get too tense
Brandon and
fired
William.
up. And
Yeah.
Cedric is much the same way. I mean, Cedric's a jokester, man.
Yeah, he's having fun.
All right, here
There
we
you
go.
go.
Now, you know what this means. I mean, this is down to these two guys.
Gentlemen, switch sides,
And
please.
both these guys, make no mistake, both these guys know right now this is for the title. They know it.
Yeah,
The
this is
fans know
serious
it, and the
business.
judges know it. You know,
Front
to
double
me,
bicep.
that's the difference right there in that front
The waist.
pose, Nick. The
Yep.
waist. That's the first thing that my eye is drawn to is that Brandon Curry's waist
And that
is tiny.
V-taper.
Look at that shot right there. Look at that V-taper compared to William.
Yeah, Brandon is a
Front
bigger
lat
guy,
spread.
a heavier guy with a smaller waist.
Yeah.
So
And I think his conditioning might be slightly better than Bonac's here.
Well, again, Nick, another good observation. You can see. Look at the legs. Just
The
key
lower
in on
body,
the
yeah.
thighs between these two guys. Don't look at anything else. Just that. That tells you
Side
everything you need
chest.
to know about conditioning. This shot's about even for these guys. You can see the thickness on William. You can see the thickness on Brandon. But look at the side of the thigh. Once again,
Yeah.
that's your margin.
Back double
Brandon Curry is
bicep.
10% sharper than William Bonac. Now,
this
this is what negates everything
Yeah.
we just said, okay? Because you're going to get to this point, and guess what? William's got one of the best backs in the world.
He's like a mini Kai Green.
Yeah.
The thing about Williams' back too is that he has details that other people just don't have. You know,
Just thickness. It's just thick muscle. And listen, at the end of the day, it's still
Back
a muscle
lat spread.
contest.
he has those lower lat striations, like the mini Kai Green, as you
Oh,
said.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a pose right there that Brandon Curry has worked very hard on bringing up over the years, and it has paid off in dividends right here because he's hanging.
Yep.
He's hanging with William.
Side tricep.
Now, you're going to see a big difference right here. Look at the waistlines.
Yep.
I'd give this pose to Brandon.
Oh, all day.
Yeah.
All day long.
Abdominals and thighs.
And you're going to give this pose to Brandon right here. So. Now, William knows he's basically going to get beat in this pose. If he's
Who
a
do you
smart
like,
guy,
ladies and
he'll get
gentlemen?
out of that quick. Oh, there he goes. See? That's a veteran right there. Get to the side. Show him your serratus. Do not go heads up with Brandon Curry.
And Brandon's right there with him.
Yep.
Well, Brandon can do whatever he wants. You know what I mean? Listen, that waist. You can hear the fans getting into
Come
it
on,
now,
let's
cheering
light
for their
this place
favorites.
up.
This is where it gets fun, Aaron.
Brandon.
Yeah.
Is it William?
Gentlemen, relax.
Brandon sure does look sharp right now.
2 steps back. Another step. Hit a front double bicep, please.
You can tell it's close because Big Steve just doesn't keep going for no good reason.
Yep.
So this isn't about just giving the fans a good show. I mean, it is that close between these two
Relax.
guys.
Face the statue and hit a back double bicep.
Man, it is so close with these two guys. Just two different physiques completely. But that, to me, solidifies it, Aaron. I mean, that shot right there, look at the difference just in the taper and the waistline.
Yep.
And listen, it's not like
Relax,
Brandon's
side
giving up a
chest.
whole lot of muscle here.
Yep. And I think the small waist also creates the illusion that Brandon's a little bit wider than Bonac, too.
It does, and they're probably the same width, or
Yep.
maybe Bonac's even a little wider, but you're right, Nick. It's all about illusion. I mean, that's the only thing that matters on stage. Smoke and mirrors.
Yep.
Your favorite
If you
most
actually
muscular.
count the shots and who's winning what shot, it looks like Brandon is ahead by 2. He said he certainly had the abs, hand over head abdominal. He certainly had
Last pose,
the side
gentlemen, hit
tricep,
it.
even on the side chest. What do you think here?
Look at the muscle right here in this angle of William Bonac. That's crazy.
Thank you, gentlemen. This concludes prejudging. Back to you, Tony.
Steve, you guys are doing amazing.